You're listening to episode number 27 of the Play Your Position podcast.
Welcome to the Play Your Position podcast, where your story matters and we make it count. Here's your host, Mary Lou Kaser. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of the Play Your Position podcast. This is Mary Lou Kaser, and this week I will be delivering an audio postcard about an opportunity I just had to review Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick's book, The Art of Social Media. This was a really cool opportunity. Guy and Peg understand how social media works at a level that most don't, and yet at the same time, they are the first to say that they still have a lot to learn. What I really like about what they've done in this book, and I'm going to get into some details, obviously, in a little bit about the book itself, but what I really like about what they've done is they have exemplified for all of us that social media and the internet and marketing online are an ever-evolving experience, that you don't just arrive at a level and then stay there. It's really built into the whole process that you have got to stay on your toes, that you have to be constantly learning, constantly reading, constantly keeping up. And for lifelong learners like myself, and for a lot of you who are listening today, I know how much you appreciate people who come from that standpoint, as opposed to people who act as if they know it all, they've seen it all, they've been there, done that, and don't have any room in their lives to learn something new. That's not what I'm about, and I know that's not what you're about. So let's get into the review. If you're ready, it is time for kickoff. Okay, so like I said, I just finished reading The Art of Social Media, Power Tips for Power Users by Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick. In full disclosure, I deliberately did not read any other reviews of the book before I read the book. I wanted it to be a clean, clear experience for myself. I didn't want to have any of my thought processes colored by what other people were saying. This is why I also do my best to stay away from movie trailers and also movie reviews before I see a movie, because I want to go into the experience as a virgin, basically. I don't want any outside influences coloring what I'm about to see and experience. And so I did that with this book, because what Guy and Peg did was they reached out on Twitter, and I'm sure other social media channels as well. I know both of them are big time Google Plus users. And they put a call out to people in their networks and said, hey, if you're interested in getting a pre-release or pre-launch copy of our forthcoming book, The Art of Social Media, sign up here and we'll send you all the details. And we promise that you're not going to get a lot of email from us. This is really just about us having you give an honest review of our book. So I volunteered and got the email, set up my account on the platform that they are using to deliver the pre-launch docs. And so all that went well. And I actually read it on my phone. I decided I was going to download it to my Kindle app. That was actually kind of fun because I like technology, as many of you know. Actually, as all of you know, I'm a big fan of technology and the tools that we now have available to consume content that matters to us. By the light of my fireplace one afternoon, I plowed through this book, and I'm about to get into the prose of the book. So let me get into that, and then I'll explain why the Kindle app on my iPhone was such a cool deal. The Art of Social Media, Power Tips for Power Users is a great book for anyone who is already using social media for business. Okay, Guy and Peg share a plethora of useful resources for those readers who are interested in updating their social media game. I would not consider myself a power user of social media yet, but this book affirmed for me that I'm definitely closer than I thought. That was an added bonus. I did not know that this book was going to affirm for me that I know a little bit about social media, so that was pretty cool. Now, the authors provide some pretty nifty tricks to readers to save you time and expand your reach using popular platforms such as Twitter and Facebook. For example, I really liked the little part they shared, how to add 4 images to a Twitter post. This is something that I was seeing other people do, and I didn't know how to do it. Now, could I have Googled that and found an explanation? Of course, but it was kind of neat for me to get it from Guy and Peg. Now, I also appreciated Guy's direct and straightforward tone that he used throughout the book, making it very clear to readers that social media isn't going away anytime soon, so why not join the party? It's the way a lot of businesses is getting done these days, folks. I mean, again, anybody who's in the know about this knows that social media has to be a part of your content distribution strategy. And frankly, you're missing out on opportunities if you keep your head in the sand. That was one of his big messages. I also liked the chapter on feeding the content monster. A couple of years ago, I had blogged about my prediction that the content monster was real, it was coming, it was not going away, and it would indeed rear its ugly head for everyone at some point. I have felt that in this last year of 2014, the things with content and social media ramp up in a much more accelerated way than I have since really coming online in 2007, 2008. As we sit here on the edge of 2015, I can say that that day has indeed come. The fact is, content today is one of the primary drivers of how business gets done. And an entire industry has been created around the need for creating, managing, and delivering great content into the marketplace. There's no sign of it slowing down anytime soon. And Guy points out consistently throughout the book that this is indeed our reality. His message again is you might as well learn how to do it right. And here are some tips. And that's, again, at the center of this book. Now, another pro of this book is its length. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I downloaded a copy of the pre-launch proof to the Kindle app on my iPhone and was able to get through the manuscript in about an hour. Now, I'm a power reader, so people who don't like to just blast through things might take longer, and that's fine. That process for me even included bookmarking key pages with ideas that I wanted to return to later. Like so many other people these days who are busier beyond compare, I really do appreciate brevity, and Guy and Peg definitely deliver in that arena in this book. And finally, my last point, my last pro about this book is it is loaded with great resources for readers to reference. Not only throughout the manuscript, but at the end, Guy and Peg create a fabulous index of cross-referencing all the different sources that they list in the book. And if readers choose to read the digital version like I did, those links are active, so you can be clicking and checking things. And to me, that's an added value. Not everybody's going to read a digital copy, and I get that. Obviously, if you have a hard copy, you can type in the resources that they list and get the same effect. It's just faster with the click away approach that a digital version of a book has. There are a few things that fall into the cons department. One of them is this book is not for social media newbies. And I know that the title clearly states that their target reading audience is power users. The fact is, we all know that people being people, there are going to be folks who get this book in spite of the title because of Guy's and Peg's excellent reputations. Guy and Peg, like I said at the beginning, are everywhere on social media and really have their finger on the pulse of what's going on. So that's going to be a selling factor alone. I know from experience that sometimes I don't read the titles clearly. In fact, I'm going to get into a little bit about that in a minute. While I was reading this book, I tried to imagine myself as a newbie because I wanted to think about, okay, what is the real audience here? What if I was a newbie coming to this? Would this make sense to me? Now, content creation and social media are overwhelming enough on their own. And for people who are new to the social media space, as well as content creation, This is not the book for getting started. It is, however, a valuable book to have on the shelf for when the time comes to ramp up social media usage and launch campaigns and then work your way towards the power user status, if indeed that's something that you aspire to achieve. Another con is that there are some great tips on setting up your social media accounts for the first time. For example, Guy makes it clear you want to choose a decent photo of yourself to use as an avatar on your social media channels versus a selfie by the beach with you holding an umbrella drink. Okay? He really hammers home the idea that this is a professional space, and even if you're in a arena that's more creative or artsy, that doesn't really give you license to be an ass. Okay, for lack of a better word, be smart. That's one of his messages. There are some great tips like that, but again, most of what Guy and Peg share in this book is for mid to advanced level social media users. Like I said, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on this, and I found myself going, oh man, there are certain things that I haven't even started to think about, and I'm not even sure I want to. And I would also point out that Guy's frank tone could be perceived by some readers as offensive. These are people who don't understand the big picture context of social media that Guy has been moving in for the last several years. Referring to people as idiots because they don't do things the right way on social media is not far off the mark. But that classification may put off some people, and perhaps that's the whole point, right? I mean, Guy is not mincing words. He's not trying to please everybody. To his credit, and in my humble opinion, there is a lot of bad behavior online. People do a lot of stupid things because, let's face it, we're human, right? Flaws are flaws, and they're going to show up and be amplified in social media, just like offline. And again, to Guy's credit, negative examples are always a terrific teaching tool of what not to do. So there's value in that con, okay? Another minor thing that I would point out is the book's title is misleading. Remember, I was just mentioning that sometimes titles aren't always read carefully, and I would put that on me. I was under the impression that the art of social media this book is referring to was along the lines of how to create and ramp up the use of visuals on social media. And since that's an area of interest to me in terms of content creation, I was immediately drawn to this book. And again, something listeners may not be aware of, Guy is a self-proclaimed evangelist for Canva, which is a visual content creation tool out of Australia that is really, really awesome. It's spelled Canva. And in the post that I'll share a link for this particular episode, there'll be a link to Canva for you to check out. It's a free platform. It's fabulous. I was an early adopter of the tool. I continue to be a faithful user of it. So based on that correlation between Guy and Canva, I was excited about what this book's title implied it would be about. But as it turns out, visual content and visual content creation are mentioned, but the book is more about the art of using social media in general rather than a directive on creating and using visuals on social media. So to make that clear, if there's anybody out there listening today who's thinking like I did, just know he doesn't really go into detail about the how-to. He just references some places where visual content creation can occur. Now, I just want to return to Canva for a moment. I was really, really surprised that this book's cover did not have what I call the signature Canva look. There's a lot of us that love Canva. We've come to expect a certain look associated with Canva visuals, and I personally think that they could have done something really, really incredible using Canva to create their book cover, and I'm not sure why they didn't. So I would tip that into the con column versus the pro column. Bringing this game to its ending point and bringing my review into the end zone for a touchdown, my final words on the art of social media is that it is a timely book. It's going to serve a population that wants to get some cutting edge and practical how-tos related to this new social media world in which we're all living, whether happily or otherwise. Okay, I know there are people who are still resistant, who are still avoiding, who aren't getting online. And again, this is a book that's not free for them. And that's, again, perfectly okay. None of us is out to convince the entire world to come into our camp. It's just not how it works. Given how quickly technology moves these days, it's hard to say how relevant some of the resources will be in a year or two, but Guy does a solid job of anchoring the narrative in timeless human behavior principles, things such as classiness, generosity, and integrity. I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to review the manuscript in its pre-launch phase, and I would give this book a solid 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. Finally, I definitely will recommend it to people in my circle who can benefit from Guy's and Peg's experience and teaching. My goal for this episode of the Play Your Position podcast, as is my goal each week, is to inspire you to get out there, play a bigger game, play your position with more confidence, more enthusiasm, and winning more games. Thanks so much for listening. Get out there and make it a great day. Hey team, the holidays are fast approaching. Could we just agree for a second that most business holiday gifts fall in the not so great category? You know the ones I'm talking about. A slab of engraved metal or glass that ends up in a closet, a basket of fruit that gets moldy because no one likes that kind, and who could forget the teeth-breaking brick in a tin known as fruitcake? Ugh, why not give the people on your list this year a gift they will truly appreciate, one that will make them laugh, smile, and reflect on what really matters. My latest book, One True Limerick, 88 Inspirations Reimagined for Today's Success-Minded Professional, is the perfect stocking stuffer for the people on your list who you love and care about, who challenge you to do and be your best, who serve you, who work with you. I'm talking about executives, bosses, teams, colleagues, volunteers, teachers, friends, teenagers. It's also a great gift to give yourself in appreciation for all that you do to make a difference in this world. One True Limerick features wisdom and insights from some of today's greatest thought leaders, past and present, including Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Lao Tzu, Sally Hogshead, and Seth Godin. It is a gift that can make an impression for the right reasons. Forget the same old boring gifts everyone else is giving. Be original this year and get copies for everyone on your list today. Go to marylukayser.com/OTL holiday. That's marylukayser.com/OTL HOLIDAY.
Thanks for listening to the Play Your Position podcast, where your story matters and we make it count at marylukayser.com.